and only creates more stress as we look at that. So really to find that way, and I always in a really stressful situation, I try first and foremost to take a big deep breath and really let that quiet, because we always want to get back to the quiet brain, which is where our creativity and our thinking is. And if we find that quiet place and start to look exactly like you say, those little pieces. One mom who came in and I think a lot of the parents I'm working with, because we live in an area where a lot of the parents are very active in marches and vigils and events at schools and marching in the wider community. And these parents are very conscious about how to bring this question to their children. Not so that it's too much, but how can we do it? And one mother said to me, I thought it was very wise, and she said, I start, and this is a mother who is in the clergy and does yoga and meditation and teaches yoga and meditation. So I was thinking, oh, she'll have all these wonderful practices she'll bring. And when I said, well, what's the one thing that you think is most important? And she said, the first thing I'm really trying to focus on is food and sleep.
Wow.
She said, it's something we have to do every day, and it's so important to eat well, and it's harder when you're under stress, but to eat well, to eat in a timely fashion, to eat good and healthy foods, and to make sure we're getting lots of sleep. Though that's more important than ever. So I was very touched by that. I thought, how important. That's really taking it right back to basics and those simple things. Taking a breath, finding your breath, finding the quiet moments, no matter how crazy the world around us, and attending to the most important basics. And then we'll be in a frame of mind where we know how we can move into the world and where we can be most effective.
I love that. And, it's easy to lose track of those things and to think, oh, I don't have time, or I'm so busy. And it also makes me think very much of how we need to take care of ourselves as well, and so we're worried about our child, but then we're looking for those signs of excessive stress in ourselves. And self-reg, we have the step 1 is about reframing. So let's say, we're all human, right? You come home and you're a little bit, you're a little bit impatient with your child, or you didn't, I don't know, you just weren't that ideal mom that you thought you should be. And I've been there too. You say something a little, you get patience are low or a little snippy, or, and as soon as that happens, we could take a lens and say, be really hard on myself, or it's about the child that has done something wrong. But another way that I've learned this through Stuart is saying, as soon as I do that, or it could be in the version of go for the bag of chips. That's my go-to. I'm suddenly eating and I know I don't need it. Why? It just reframe it. And instantly I'm like, this is a sign it's a stress behavior, and it's not me being bad or needed to try harder. It's a sign that I need to go, just take a pause, take a breath, and do a little restoring for myself, a little bit of reframing, and often that's all it takes to suddenly realize, okay, just have to sort of rejig things a little bit, and then you're back on track. In this case with my daughter, but as you speak about with food, we need good night's sleep. If you're feeling really run down and you're not sleeping well, let's just start with that one. What kind of things can we do to help with better sleep at night? Because these are important. We also talk about making sure you're hydrating and getting some exercise in whatever form. We look at those as sort of the 3. And, that doesn't necessarily mean go to the gym. It's not for everyone, but finding that way to move a little bit. What are some of the advice that you might have around, making sure you get a good sleep? And we know that that's really important. That's one little piece, but it will help us be more ready to deal with whatever we come across in the day or in our parenting, in our homes.
And I think that's a very important place. And that's one place where parents can bring that really loving, nurturing touch into it. But I use the 2 words warmth and rhythm. And I think those 2 can go across so many, not just bedtime routines, but every type of routine. And when I say warmth, I just don't mean the warmth of your hands, the warmth in your heart, the warmth with which we come to our children, but the warmth of connection,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that very, very special connection. So at nighttime, to really find that rhythm, so that each night there's a predictable rhythm, and just within that rhythm helps to already start the process of helping to wind down all of the nervous tension of the day, to let that go. And then for parents to take that deep breath and to find maybe those ways. Now, some children, the touch will only activate them more, but to possibly find the way, a soothing back rub, a soothing foot rub,
Mm-hmm.
a little nice little foot rub at night before children go to bed. So maybe a little reading, and then a little back rub, a little hand massage, a little foot massage, in a very conscious way. And like you say, for the parents, find our quiet moments first. And I usually say to parents, when you give a massage, you get a massage.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wonderful study that was done by Tiffany Field at the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami, where grandmothers were giving babies massages. And what she found was that when you give a massage, you get the same, your heart rate goes down, your respiration goes down, your cortisol levels go down. We really get the relaxation response when we give it as well as when we get it. So just to really, for the parent to know that they're not just giving that to their child, but it's a time to give to themselves as well. So I think those nighttime routines are so important.
You know, and I love you bring up the importance of touch at other times of the day. When my daughter, I'm a touchy person, so I hug a lot, and so we have that sort of relationship. And so one of the things I know, when she came home the day about, worried about whatever was going to happen, and she's come home with different things at different times, that she's worried. I mean, my only focus is on making her feel safe, but I really don't do that so much with words. Sometimes the words, it's not that there is the perfect words to say. Sometimes people are looking for, what is the thing I need to tell my child? And, so I'll often say, you're safe. But so much, oftentimes it's just with her seeing my calm about it, and I'm very intentionally not reacting to that. Even if, and I can't, not to say that I'm not human too. You don't have, see things in your news feeds and these sorts of things. But in that moment, it's just very important that for me, she's safe, and I do it through touch. Sometimes it's just as simple as a hand on her shoulder, or it's soothing the arms, or we have that sort of relationship. But the other thing that I'm going to say for those parents that maybe themselves or their child is not, it's like that, where in my relationship, it's always been very touch. We're a very touch family. My mom was the same with me. There is occasions when she does not want to be touched, because I'll ask her, does she need a hug? And usually she comes for one, but sometimes she doesn't really want that. And what she'll often do is go and run a bath, which is related, right? Bath. Sometimes she runs a foot bath and will stick her feet just so in, and I think she's still getting there's something to that, where she's still getting some of those needs fed, while she's still keeping a bit of her distance, which she just needs a little bit of time to process whatever it is she's processing.
And I love that natural instinct that she has too, because one of the classic things why a foot massage at night is so helpful is it really helps to bring, when we're under a lot of tension, a lot of the energy and circulation kind of gets stuck in the head and the mind, and it's impossible to go to sleep. So bringing that touch and that warmth into the feet really helps to bring the whole level of the nervous system down, and really help to do that. So she has those wonderful instincts. And I really, part of in teaching the sensory protocols to parents, that's just the beginning. To me, the most important part is helping parents to see what they already see and may not be aware of, but all the many, many ways that children show in their cues, in their body cues, in their behavioral cues, in their facial cues, what their body needs. There's an amazing knowing in their little bodies. So even if they don't understand it in their mind, Sienna knew to go run a bath and to get her feet in the warmth. So I think there's so much data coming out. We've seen all of these data from Korea and England and across about all the stresses. So many, many children are experiencing stresses these days across the world. one of the most beautiful studies that were done incorporated at the end asking children, what would help you most? And they said for adults to be kind and to listen. And so I think it's so important. What you were talking about is you were listening with your touch. You know, we can listen with our ears, and I think parents don't know what to say to children. There's so many questions that are so difficult to answer in this time. But remembering that we don't always have to have the answers, that even a more powerful place to begin to find the answers together is listening to children. And then I think for children who can't make sense of all of this in the world, of what they're feeling in their body, for children who don't have the words, all of those stresses are held in the muscles and the tendons and the tissues of the body. And I think by listening to them, we make their inner life real. And I think it makes it so much easier then to start. So I think that point of listening is so important. And the way you describe doing it with your hands is a beautiful way, because we can listen in many, many ways.